Well, thank you guys all for coming to our panel. This is Tokyo Geisha Style. So first, I just want to introduce who we are. Who's been to our panels before? Oh, good, like half the room. You guys are awesome. We have fans. So we're Tsuki no Ie, and a lot of times when you guys see us, we're like really dressed up, like in these photos. Several which were from this gentleman down here. He took 2 of those actually that are up there. Good job. So this is actually our entire group. We just have 2 of us here today. So we go by stage names, and that's because real geisha, of course, don't use their own name. They're given a performing name. So our okiya, or in this case, it's a figurative of speech. It's our house, so the performance group that we belong to, being called Tsuki no Ie, which means House of the Moon. So you'll notice that you'll see the same kanji in all of the names there. Tsuki, so moon. So I go by Tsuki Ko, and then you can tell them your name.
My name is Tsukiteru.
And she's the 3rd picture on there. Tsuki Uma, the 2nd one on there, is not with us right now. She's actually on another panel. And then on the end there, that's actually my husband. He goes by Mitsuru Tsuki, and he actually acts what is a role called otokoshi. So he goes around with us, he helps us get dressed, he makes sure we get to things to and from on time. He kind of acts as security when we need him every now and again. He carries a lot of equipment. He's a lackey sometimes, but we love him for it. So it's sort of a background role, not a performing role. But the point of our panel today is we want to talk about Tokyo Geisha and what's different about Tokyo Geisha. So a lot of people, y'all know geisha exists in Japan. Everyone's very aware of that. But when people think of geisha, they always think of Kyoto. And so how many of you knew geisha exists outside of Kyoto? So several of you, that's good. Kyoto is the hotbed for geisha. It's the cultural center of Japan. And that's where the largest traditional geisha population lies. But Tokyo is the 2nd largest population, and our group actually, in the last year and a half or so, we actually switched from doing things in Kyoto style to Tokyo style. Had an interest in that for a long time, but the problem with Tokyo is there's not near as much information just lying around out there. So it's taken a lot of research to actually compile all of this information for you guys today, so I hope you appreciate the years of research that have gone into this. So we're going to talk about the major differences between the 2. So I know some people maybe not be super familiar with what makes something Kyoto versus Tokyo, so I'll kind of discuss Kyoto as well as we go along. But first we're going to talk about some terminology differences. How many of y'all knew that geisha don't usually go by the term geisha? Just a few hands this time. In Kyoto, they like to be called Geiko. So that would be a child of art or person of art. Whereas geisha, it means an artist. In Tokyo, they do use the term geisha, but they also use the term geigi. And you'll hear that in a lot of the provincial areas. A lot of times they like to use the term geigi. In Kyoto, their apprentices are called maiko. So who already knew that information, right? So a lot of y'all, especially if you've seen Memoirs of a Geisha, which I could do a whole panel on why that movie is wrong. It's so wrong. Those of you who've been to my panels before know I know it's wrong. I have that as a backup. At some point, I'm going to do that panel. Would anyone actually come to that panel? Okay, that's good. All right, good. Then I'm going to do that sometime. Why Memoirs of a Geisha is so wrong. All right, but they get some things right, like the terminology there is correct. So they go by maiko in Kyoto, which means like a child dancer. But in Tokyo, they're called hangyoku, which means half jewel. And we'll kind of discuss a little more about hangyoku and what makes them different from maiko in a little bit. The other major terminology difference between Kyoto and Tokyo is the name of the places that they perform at typically. In Kyoto, they call the tea houses they perform at, which don't actually serve tea, FYI, they're called ochaya, so tea house. Whereas in Tokyo, they refer to them as ryote, which is like a restaurant, right? So I have to refer to Megan every now and again because her Japanese is better than mine. But they call them ryote. So it's more like a restaurant in those cases. And a lot of times what also is different, in ochaya, they never make their own food. They always have it brought in. At ryote, they might make their own food. So that's kind of the difference. All right, so another difference is in the districts. So you may have heard the term Hanamachi before. It means flower town. And those are the different areas, of course, that they live in. And in Kyoto, those are the most famous ones. And in Kyoto, we have Gyeonkobu, Gion Higashi, Kamishi Chiken, Pontocho, and Miyagawa-cho. And the ones that you see, a couple of those have a star next to them. Those are because those are the districts that have a larger population. So that's why I've tagged them there. Gyeonkobu being the biggest, and also seen as the most refined, the most high-class district of all of the geisha districts in Japan. Tokyo, on the other hand, actually has double the amount of districts. They have 10. But with Tokyo, a lot of those districts, there's maybe 1 or 2 people, and I actually think Yoshicho has nobody in it right now. So they exist, but some of them are very archaic. But in Tokyo, the ones that are really thriving right now are, let's see, Asakusa, and then also Shinbashi. Those ones are really the number 1 and 2. Shinagawa actually has been real popular lately, and I'm very excited to announce this. Shinagawa has taken on an American. They have just recently taken on an American. It's only the 3rd time that a foreigner has been accepted into a Kyoto or Tokyo Hanamachi. And the other interesting fact, she is married. How many of y'all knew geisha can't be married? Geisha cannot be married. She is married, and they have accepted her into the district. It's been an amazing progression to see finally somebody. So I could achieve this dream. This girl is a lot like me. And the reason that they've accepted her, not only was her language skills are extremely good. She's also very stubborn, is what she told me when I talked to her. And then also she is a very skilled shamisen player. And I said, I can do this. I'm a very skilled shamisen player too. I can do this. All right, so that's the difference between the districts there. All right, so now we're going to get to the meat of this, and that's talking about the differences between the Hangyoku and Maiko, and the differences, we don't need that yet. Megan's very excited, she has candy. Oh. We're going to talk about the differences, though, first between the apprentices. And so we're going to talk about each one of these things that are on here. But first thing is, now you don't need to say this one out loud, but look at these 2 pictures. And without really knowing a lot about this yet, I want you to look at these 2 pictures and say, which one do you think is a Hangyoku, and which one do you think is a Maiko? So think about it for a second. Kind of keep the idea in your head. Okay, we're gonna roll on to the next thing. So keep the idea and see if your answer is right or wrong later. First off, I'm gonna talk about the difference in the apprenticeship. In Kyoto, let's talk about that first with the Maiko. Maiko have to be at least 15 years old. They have to have completed junior high before they are allowed to enter the districts. They have to have parental permission for all of this too. And actually, they pretty much sign the child over. They get a new legal guardian in the okasan, or the mother of the okiya they go into. So they usually start fairly young, 15, 16 years old. And that's because they have a very long training period. It's about 5 years, if not sometimes longer, sometimes a little shorter depending on the skill level of the girl, but 5 is average. And so they'll spend quite a long time in this apprenticeship stage. Tokyo, on the other hand, though, does not have the same laws that Kyoto has. Kyoto has, because of all their special cultural differences, they have laws that allow younger people to enter the work profession like this and to, of course, not go to high school. Tokyo, on the other hand, they have to be 18. They will not let them in any younger than that. And as a result of them being a little older coming in, they usually only have a training period of about 2 years. So it's a lot shorter. You'll see when we get to talk about the differences between a Kyoto Geiko and a Tokyo Geisha, the difference and maybe why that training period is a little shorter too, because they kind of extend it on into the next period. So it is a shorter apprenticeship period. A lot of times people coming into Tokyo have full college educations, whereas in Kyoto you rarely expect to have seen them finish high school. All right, skill differences. I have a note here that they both areas learn all of these general arts. They learn different musical instruments. They learn tea ceremony. They learn dance. But they focus on certain things and perform publicly in certain things a little differently. A hangyoku is going to be focused on dance, and there's a drum that they play a lot called shimedaiko. And shimedaiko is very popular in Tokyo as a musical instrument at these little banquets that they attend. Kyoto, on the other hand, maiko really only focus on dance. While they do learn the other instruments, they rarely publicly play them. So when they do, it's really neat to see, but it's very rare. A lot of times maiko are kind of a tourist attraction, so the dance is what tourists want to see. So that's part of the reason why they focus more on the dance. Hangyoku also, they'll learn a lot of different instruments, and a lot of times they're told to focus on one in particular besides the shimedaiko. Same with maiko, but both districts, where the similarity lies, is following their apprenticeship period, they'll always be, they'll choose either to focus in on dance or on music. There's a particular instrument in music. So they could be jikata, which is a musician, or they could be tachikata, which is a dancer. It doesn't mean they can't do the other, but that's like their primary profession within the geisha world. And then, of course, like I said, they both learn tea ceremony, but how they do tea ceremony is just a little different. In Kyoto, the tea ceremonies that you see are almost always done in what's called ryure, which is a sitting style. So they're at a table, they're sitting on stools. In Tokyo, they much more often do the traditional tea ceremony. So have y'all seen our tea ceremony before? So those of y'all who have been to it, it was on the floor, right, on the tatami mats. That's how they do it usually. So I have a picture here on the next page that kind of demonstrates that. So that first picture there, that's actually one of the Shinagawa Hangyoku Marika, and that's her playing shimedaiko. And you can see with shimedaiko, it's this very, hold this for a second. It's this very abrupt looking way of playing, but it's very popular in Tokyo. Tea ceremony, as you can see there, done on the tatami mat. That's actually a winter style setup there. And then on the end there, that's manten. Manten is doing a dance. Manten is from Mukojima. All right, so hair, how do they do it differently? This is one that's a little harder to tell until you've seen a lot of hairstyles. But the biggest difference is that hangyoku almost always do not style their own hair. They almost always wear a wig. They usually wear the style called momoware. So it's like a peach. That's what it means. That's that's a reference, just FYI. Think about it. Just think about that. On the other hand, there are a few girls that do their own hair. So like that picture back here of manten, you may not be able to tell, but the first two girls are wearing the wig, and manten has her own hair styled. Usually one of the ways you can kind of tell is that they wear the kanzashi more forward, usually, if they do their own hair, so those flowers are more in the front. It's not always true, but usually. Maiko, on the other hand, they'll always style their own hair. It's one of the biggest requirements. They feel like it's one of those things you suffer for your art. So you wear your own hair like that, you have to sleep on an uncomfortable pillow. And they wear two main styles throughout their time. They wear ware shinobu first, which looks very similar to momoware. And then they wear something called ofuku later. They do wear some special hairstyles for other occasions, and at the end of their apprenticeship, they wear a special one called saho, which has like a little ponytail almost on the end, and they cut it at the end as it's a symbolic ending of the apprenticeship period. The hangyoku rarely wear any other styles. There's a couple, but they hardly ever do. So this is what momoware looks like. So that's actually the wig on a stand there. You can see it's a big bun on the top of the head. Do you catch the reference yet? Just look at that bun. Okay, this is PG, I won't go any further. Then on the other hand, there's also all the girls dressed up, and you can see they've all got their hair done in the same style. And every single one of those girls is wearing one of those wigs. Okay, kanzashi, I'll talk a little bit more about that. Those are all of the hair ornaments that they wear. The ones that are most notable are all of the flowery hair ornaments. And you can barely see here, Tsukiteru-san is wearing a little uchiwa kanzashi for today. That's a little round fan. That's a symbol of July. So that's why she's wearing that one today. As far as kanzashi go for hangyoku, they don't really have a whole lot of restrictions other than seasonality. They can wear ones that are really big and bright and colorful. They can wear little bitty flowers, big flowers. They can wear ones that have the beautiful falls down the side of the face, and those are pretty popular. They can wear so much stuff as far as the hana kanzashi go, the flower kanzashi. They usually wear some kind of stick kanzashi in the back, so that's kind of what I've got on today. This is one called tama kanzashi. So it's a ball kanzashi. They wear that, or they wear one that's a little flattened called hirouchi. And then on the bun and there in the back, you notice in the picture that I showed you, there was nothing but the little red cloth on the back. But sometimes they wear something called kanoko dome, which is one that sits right on top of that little bun. And I'll show you a picture of that in a second. Maiko, however, I could spend a whole panel just on how specific their kanzashi are. They have to wear this style. If you're this many years in the training, you wear this style, you wear this hairstyle, you wear these kanzashi. It's very, very, very particular, so I don't have time to go into the ultra specifics, but the easiest way to tell a young Maiko from an older Maiko is those long flowing petals called shidare. A first year Maiko will wear those, and after that they'll get rid of them, so you can kind of tell at least who just got started and who has been here a little while. So these are examples of Hangyoku kanzashi. This is Chihana here. She is one of my favorite. She actually just became a full geisha a couple months ago, so I'm very happy for her. But this is Chihana, and you can see she's got those shidare, and she's actually wearing the uchiwa as well, so this photo was taken in July, I think of last year. And then on the back there, you see now there's that one on top of the bun. That's the kanoko done. And it can take on a variety of shapes. It can be a butterfly, it can be flowers, it can be all sorts of things. And then in the back there, it's one called a tachibana. It's got the little red and green balls on silver leaves. The tachibana is good luck, and in Kyoto, they only wear that in their first and second year. In Tokyo, they can wear it anytime they want. But that's just a couple examples of what they might wear. All right, kimono. Obviously, that is the geisha's costume, is it not? It's the most recognizable thing about their outfit. I'm going to go ahead and flip to the next page so you can see this as I talk. Hangyoku and Maiko alike wear kimono with the very long sleeves. We call this furisode. Very, very long. Now in Tokyo, like this, you notice that the kimono is not sweeping the ground, like you've seen in some pictures of geisha, right? And they purposefully don't do that in Tokyo. Now it's probably hard for you to see, but in the shoulders, there's a little tuck. And that's actually a feature of children's kimono. They put a tuck either here or even down in the sleeve. And it's because as you got older, you'd let it out for that child. But that's a signal that this person is an apprentice. They are still a child as far as a performance goes. So in Tokyo, they wear just like a regular furisode that you might see on any young woman in Japan, especially for a celebratory occasion like New Year's. But they have the tucks. So that's one way to be able to tell them apart besides the makeup and the hair. Now in Kyoto, everyone wears the long sweeping kimono that drags the floor, and then we call this hikizuri. And they wear the furi hikizuri. So it has the long sleeves as well as that draping train. And theirs always have the tucks down farther in the sleeve, so they have one kind of about here and they have them in the shoulder, whereas they rarely ever do the tucks down in the sleeve for Tokyo. All right, the obi is one of the most distinctive differences between the two groups. Maiko, you've probably seen that long dangling obi on the back. It's just so beautiful when they turn around. They would call this darari obi, which means dangling. And so they wear that. It has a crest of their okiya on the back, so they denotes where they're from. And it's always what they wear. In Tokyo, think of Tokyo because of how crowded Tokyo is versus Kyoto. If you had that long dangling obi all the time, traveling on subways, going wherever you're going to go, it's going to get destroyed. So they decided a long time ago that they're going to wear something called koken. It's called koken musubi. So let me show you that picture. These are all examples of koken musubi. So you see that's, of course, much higher up on the back. It's actually a very popular knot in dance. But it's something that distinguishes them differently from geisha, but also they're able to wear that and not get it all dirty in the street. So it's a nice way for them. And these are some other features of the kimono for Tokyo. In Kyoto, then they wear the obiage, which is that piece across the top here. It'll be flat like they're wearing it here, but theirs is always red, plain red with either silver, gold, or white embroidery. That's always what it is, never any other color. In Tokyo, they wear an obiage that can be really any color, and it's shibori, which is a special tie-dye technique. And if you've ever touched shibori, it's oftentimes very stretchy, especially the obiage, because of how they've tie-dyed it. So it actually stretches quite a bit. It's kind of fun. But that's what they're both wearing here. See, the far side there, that's actually Maika again, and she's wearing green, whereas this other one over here, that's Monten. I know without looking at their faces, that's bad, isn't it? She's wearing, of course, red, which is very popular still. And then you'll see the cord in the center, and that's obijime. And on the far picture in the green, she's wearing a special knot that Tokyo Hangyoku use called fuji, so wisteria. So it's made to look like wisteria. It's actually not that hard to tie, other than you do it like you normally do, but you keep knotting it, and so it makes that beautiful little line of knots. And then Monten there is wearing something a little closer to what Kyoto. In Kyoto, they always wear the really wide obijime, and they wear this big thing, which a normal kimono we call obidome, and it's a decorative piece. But they call it kochiri, and it's very large. Hers is pretty plain, it's just pearls, but sometimes they're gold with jewels and all sorts of very expensive materials that they're made out of. And usually that's the most expensive thing, single item, that an okiya will own, is those kochiri. They can have diamonds, rubies, all sorts of fun stuff in it. But hers is pretty plain here with pearls. All right, nagajiban. Now, for Tokyo and Kyoto, of course, when you wear a kimono formally, you wear an under kimono, and that's called nagajiban. Now, we are wearing yukata today. And yukata does not require an underlayer like this. You wear something underneath it to keep it clean, but you don't wear that under kimono that looks like another kimono. So in Tokyo, they can either wear red or pink. It doesn't really matter, it's just the performer's choice. And then the collar, which would be just barely see, we can see a little wider at the neck. Let me go back and show one so you can see a picture of that. So you see those collars at the neck there? They're white and a little bit of red on that one on the far side. We call eri. Turn back here, sorry. That can be a variety of colors, but usually they stick with red with some kind of white embroidery or white, and then a little bit of red at the back. Sometimes it's got some pink and stuff thrown in, but they have more variety. And how much of red they show is sort of arbitrary. It's whatever they choose to wear. Whereas in Kyoto, Maiko always wear red nagajiban. Nothing else. Red with a white design for normal days and red with gold for formal wear. It's always the same. And their collar is always red with embroidery. Now, as they get older, they'll get more and more white embroidery into the design to the point where it looks completely white, except for a little bit at the very back. So that helps to note their status. So that's a picture there of red and pink nagajiban there. So you can see there's red. You can see actually it's got white in the middle. And that's actually to save fabric and money. So you'll hardly find ever, it sounds funny, but it's true. A lot of times the fabric is really expensive. So when you have those two-piece ones like that, a lot of times they don't put the regular fabric in the middle because it's going to get dirty and sweaty. You don't want to get it all nasty, and it's expensive. And then you can actually kind of see her collar there from the back. You can see it's much more red right at the back. And she's got some embroidery coming up over the side. And then the other side here, that's just a very pale pink nagajiban, and she's happened to wear just a white collar there. All right, shoes. Normally, Hangyoku wears zori, and that is what we are both wearing here today, is zori. The wooden shoes that a lot of times people see geta, they don't wear geta at all, but they do sometimes wear okobo, which are those really high wooden shoes. Maiko almost always wear okobo though, and only wear zori if it's raining or they need to move quickly. And that's one of those differences between Tokyo being such a busy and crowded town. If they wore okobo, Hangyoku did, they would be falling over all the time, they'd get hurt, they wouldn't be able to walk certain places, so they wear zori, because they gotta get somewhere and they gotta get somewhere fast and it's crowded. Maiko, on the other hand, they're in Kyoto, in the old Kyoto streets. Not that they're not crowded, but it's not quite the same, they wear okobo. So here's a picture of that, zori without feet in it. And those are those tall okobo. Which, has anyone ever tried wearing a pair of those before? Megan? Who's fallen over in those before? They take a lot of work to be balanced. Like, have you worn them before? Did you fall? Almost. Okay. They're really hard to wear because of the height on them. So Maiko actually do fall down from time to time. People have asked that question before. Have they ever fallen down? Yes, they have. And they do. And you know what they do when they fall? They block that poteria because that's that really expensive piece. Is that they would much rather damage something else. Not that it's not all expensive than that poteria. So they block it like this. All right, so Megan's finally happy because she gets to give out candy. Quiz question time. So I need someone to try to come up here and answer the question. So somebody come up to the mic and try to answer the question. Quick, somebody do it. Is it a hangyoku or is it a maiko? We're gonna play this game. Quick. Come on down. Okay, so here's the picture. Is it hangyoku or maiko? It is maiko. Give a piece of candy. Good job. We can't throw either. Okay, so somebody come up here now and tell me what was the difference that made you say it was maiko. Quick, somebody. No, you can't do it again. Somebody else, come on. It doesn't want to point out all the differences, just something that told you that it was a maiko, not a hangyoku. The long obi, darari obi, very good, very good. Somebody come up here and point out another difference. Quick. We can get 2 more differences, come on. So what was another difference that you noticed? You don't have to have the terms, just tell me what looks different. Right, the way that they have the kanzashi and the way their hair is done, very good. All right, one more. Anyone got anything?
I have turbo hands.
Do y'all notice the kimono? Oh, I'll give you this candy anyway, you're gonna say it. All right, the kimono, it's dragging the ground, right? It's good, there's some good differences. Good job, guys. All right, one more question. Oh, is it hangyoku or maiko? What is it? No, someone come up here. You want candy, come on, run! Is it a maiko or hangyoku? No! It's a hangyoku! Uh-oh, we'll give you candy anyway. Nice try. All right, somebody tell me what one of the differences was. What looks different? Quick, get up here. It's a wig! Good job, she picked it out. Sometimes that's very hard to tell. Good job, it is a wig. What was another difference? It's not dragging the floor. One more thing. Quick, somebody come up here. Do it. Run! If we can run in these, you can run. Okay? We can do it. Okay, if no one's gonna be brave, then I'll just do it. All right, so what about that obi? How's it tied? It's short in the back, isn't it? I give Josh this candy. All right. This is Mitsutsuki, by the way. He's working, so that's why he looks like this. I wanted him to dress up, but he was busy. All right. Very good, you guys. Okay, let's talk about geisha and Geiko now. So again, look at the pictures. Think about it in your head. Which one do you think is which? I'm not going to tell you the answer, but I do want to quiz you on this time. I want to see what the audience thinks. Who thinks that the first one is Tokyo? Who thinks that the second one is Tokyo? We shall find out. All right, first off, hairstyle. In Tokyo, they change their hairstyle more frequently as a geisha than they do as a hangyoku. Whereas in Kyoto, it's the other way around. As a maiko, you change your hairstyle for different levels, and then you stick with the same one called takashimara after that. And the only difference is in Kyoto, for takashimara, if you're a junior, so you're in your first 2 years of being an actual full geisha, there's some silver piece that sits under the mage, which is like the bun on the back, and it's like silver wings, and that denotes that you're a junior. And that's the only difference. And then after 30 years old, they stop wearing the full white makeup, they stop wearing the hikizuri that drags the ground, they stop wearing the wig, they dress much more naturally, because now their skills should speak for them. They don't need all that floweriness for them to be a good entertainer. Tokyo, on the other hand, if you're a junior, you start with the same style that Kyoto does, Takashimara. So let me show you those pictures. That first one there is Takashimara. Then, as you get a little more experienced, you can wear the one in the middle called Tsubushi Shimada, which is kind of like squished Shimada. It's kind of how it looks, like it's kind of falling a little bit. And then, as they get even older, they can kind of wear almost anything they want. And one of the very popular ones is this one called Maiware. A lot of people like that one as they get a little older. And Kyoto and Tokyo are very similar in that after 30, a lot of times they switch to more natural dress. They're wearing just a regular pretty kimono of the homongi style with their natural hair and makeup. But Tokyo tends to say, well, I feel like wearing the makeup today. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna wear the white stuff today. So they have a little more leeway. Kanzashi, I'm gonna show you the picture when I discuss this one. In Kyoto, they're very simple, and in Tokyo, they're much more simple than you saw with the Hangyoku. And that again is, when you're younger and the apprentice, you need all of this floweriness to make up for your lack of skill. And as you're older, your skill should speak for you. So actually the first one there is Chihana. That's the girl who just recently had her erikai, her turning of the collar. She became a full geisha. So very proud of her. But that's Chihana there in formal wear. And she's wearing the beko, or it's not real turtle shell anymore, but it used to be real turtle shell. Now it's just resin. But it's that yellowy color. Then there's an example of someone with the Tsubushi Shimada style wearing that same kind of kanzashi. And then this other lady on the end here is wearing one that's got coral beads all over it. So they have a lot of variety in that. Whereas in Kyoto, it's like you get a comb and you get one little piece in the front called maizashi. And that's it. Nothing else. All right, when it comes to kimono, this is another big difference. In Tokyo, I want to see, who thinks that the girl on the right is older than the girl on the left and more experienced? Thank you. Good to know. Okay, who thinks the girl on the right is older and more experienced? Who thinks the girl on the left is older and more experienced? You are wrong. Tokyo is almost the opposite when it comes to kimono. In Kyoto, if you attain what's called natori status, so you're a master dancer, is the only time you get to wear that, the short kimono. On the other hand, in Tokyo, you start with the shorter homongi kimono like this. This is called homongi, it's a style. It's a formal kimono, it does not drag the ground. And as you gain experience, you get to wear the hikizuri, which is the one on the right. So she gets to wear that now. And that's because the hikizuri is very hard to move and to dance in, so they need you to get some experience. And that's part of the thing too, is also because, remember I said the Hangyoku apprenticeship is much shorter? They spend a little more time in a junior state as a geisha, where there's still a little more leeway for them. So they're denoted then by wearing the shorter kimono. And so someone will say, oh, okay, she's more of a junior, let's give her a little, let's give her a little leeway. Obi, this is again where things get different. In Tokyo, they wear a lot of different styles. In Kyoto, one. In Kyoto, they wear like we have on right now. Can I show me yours? This is otaiko musubi. It's the most popular obi knot, and that is all they wear. They wear a very large version of it, but it's the exact, that's it. Everyone wears it, no matter what as long as if you are a geisha, it doesn't matter if you're dressed up or you're dressed down, that is what you wear. They get to wear the obijime, the cord here in the center, in a color of their choice, except for formal wear, but I won't get into that. And then the obiage, this scarfy piece, is always red for them. Now they may have metallic, it may be shibori, but it's always red. Except for a couple districts which do white with red dots. In Tokyo though, only new geisha were wearing the short kimono, wear otaiko musubi. On the other hand, as they get older, they get to wear something called tsunadashi, which actually predates the otaiko, and I love it, it's beautiful. It's like it looks almost like a fallen otaiko. So let me show you how that looks on the next page. The first one there is otaiko. Second one, that is tsunadashi. And then the last one there is called yanagi, which means willow. And yanagi is only used for formal wear for the most part. There's a notable exception, and we'll get to him at the end. But tsunadashi can be worn by any geisha who's wearing hikizuri. And then they have a lot of variations on it too. So they have some that make it look almost like a fan a little bit on the sides, feel pretty. So they wear a lot like that. Whereas Kyoto will never wear those particular musubi unless it's a special dance performance. They always wear their taiko. Actually, that first picture is a Kyoto geisha, I stole it. All right, Nagajiban, the under kimono. Normally, in Tokyo, they almost always wear red. Whereas, I mentioned that's the Maiko color in Kyoto. And then in Kyoto, they usually wear pink. So it's the other way around. That red is a very juvenile color, so they don't wear that. Some wear pink, especially in the summer when it's hot. It looks prettier. Kyoto, they only wear red with gold for formal events. So here's a picture of the first one there is, of course, pink. And then the second one there, she's wearing red. And that's just for a normal everyday event. Shoes, very similar in that they also wear the zori. I just put a picture of gold ones up there because why not? But they could be any color. And then they also commonly wear geta. Kyoto geisha rarely ever wear geta except for formal events. Isn't that very weird? Because geta is always considered a very casual shoe for the rest of Japan, but for geisha, geta is pretty formal. So it's kind of odd, but it's the other way around. But zori is very common because it's easy to move in. They particularly like these black lacquer ones in Tokyo. In Kyoto, they only wear the black lacquer on the okobo and geta in the summer and during the rainy months because it helps protect the shoes to have that lacquer coat. But in Tokyo, they kind of wear it all year round. All right, quiz time. Who's ready for some questions? You have to get up here to answer the question. Is it a Tokyo or is it a Kyoto geisha? Someone get up here. We'll have to take the same people again because the rest of you aren't brave. We'll give you candy if you're right or wrong. Is it Tokyo or Kyoto? It is Kyoto. Very good. This is a harder question.
I have a pair of shoes like one of those pictures mine actually broke on me.
See,
It caused me to fall.
those are geta, and notice this is a girl who is having her erikae or her formal debut as a full geisha, and she's wearing geta. It's the opposite of the rest of Japan. Good job.
Mine were like completely wet and one of them were rocks.
Oh no. Oh no, it should be one whole piece of wood, so if it came off, that's not good. That means it wasn't made by a real Japanese craftsman.
I got them from a yard sale.
Okay. You never know.
But
You never know.
Good condition at the time, but then over the years it just kind of messed up on me.
That can happen. That's okay. All right, so can y'all think of a difference? What's one of the differences? This is a brand new geisha, remember that. She's brand new, so what's different? Quick, come answer the question. Her obi, right, she is wearing otaiko. She is, that's the only thing they wear. It's hard. I wish you could see the back of her hair because you could see those wings that I was talking about. But you notice that her kanzashi is a little more subdued than the Tokyo one, even for a formal event. It's pretty subdued. And that obiage, it's red. I'm not gonna dwell on this one because it's a little harder. All right, now look at these girls. Is it Tokyo or is it Kyoto? Someone go answer the question? Do it. Someone do it. You'll get a candy if you're right or wrong. Come on, somebody. We're gonna ask for some differences, get in line. Is it Tokyo or Kyoto? It is Tokyo! All right, someone come tell me one of the differences that you noticed. What'd you notice? Well, they're wearing the hikizuri. Yes, they are wearing the hikizuri. So that would mean that, are they new? Are they new or do they have a little experience? They have a little experience, very good. Okay, what do you notice? Okay, can you think of something else? What else do you notice? The way their obis are tied, right? That's yanagi musubi. That's a very formal knot for them. What else do you notice? The hair is different. You can't see the back on these, but the kanzashi are the giveaway. Can you think of one more difference? Hey, the shime daiko. That was good.
That's really good.
That's a good observation. All right, good job, you guys. So I want to go back real quick to those pictures And from the beginning, before I move on to the last piece, and let's see if you got it right. Okay. Come on. All right, I know it's tiny, but okay. Who now says that the first one is Tokyo? Who says the second one is Tokyo? Wrong. This one's hard to see, but the giveaway, if I can let me go on ahead and put that one up. I'm gonna tell you right now the giveaway on which one's which. This one's really hard, but the giveaway, because you can see so little, is on the right. You see that kanzashi she has that falls in the front? Those are called bira bira. A Tokyo geisha, they love those. Kyoto never would wear one like that. Never, unless it's for a performance. The Geiko might. It's very similar, but geisha would never wear it. All right, let's go back to the other one with the hangyoku. Let's go back in time here. Come on. All right, is the one on the right hangyoku or maiko? Who thinks hangyoku? Who thinks maiko? Okay, who thinks the one on the left is hangyoku? Who thinks it's, you know what, I'm backward here. I'm thinking this right, this left. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm a nurse. Okay, so if anyone else here was medical, you know this is right, this is left, and it's always that person's right and left. I'm sorry. Right, left, here we go. Right, who thinks it's hangyoku? Left. That left, your left. Okay, your left, hangyoku. Very good. Yes, your left is hangyoku. And this, again, difficult to tell, but you can barely see the obiage on the one on the, that's Chihana on the left. That's shibori, so they would never wear that. All right, a couple more things. We're gonna talk about male geisha. Woo! Did you know these existed in this day and age? They do. There is one onagata in all of Japan, and that is Eitaro, and that is that lovely gentleman there on your left. I'm gonna get this right. Ha, no pun intended. But that is Eitaro. He's an onagata, so he is a man who dresses as a woman. He's dealing with all the skills of a female geisha and acts exactly like one, and he is amazing. I'm very, very excited that he's still working and practicing at this time. So he does exist. There's also something called hokan, sometimes called taikomochi. They are actually the predecessor to female geisha. And if anyone knows any of the history of that, male geisha actually did come first. And they were like these hokan here. They're kind of comedians. They're quite a comical group. They do a lot of theater, but they really keep a party very, very lively. To have them around is quite a thing, and they only exist in Asakusa. It's the only area that they're in anymore. And there's a group of, I think there are 5 or 6 of them now. So they're very small, but it is an interesting tradition if you ever get a chance to look up some of the stuff that they do. All right, last thing, some other differences. In Kyoto, there's a lot more apprentices than there are full geisha, a lot more maiko. And I mentioned it previously before, but that's because Kyoto is a touristy area when it comes to culture. They want people to see these girls in the streets. They have a special performance area in Gion called Gion Corner where anyone can come in and see a maiko dance. So they actually rotate them through that. They have to be on duty for that several times, usually a couple times a week. But there's more of them because it earns money. Also, becoming a full geisha involves taking a lot of monetary responsibility. It's very expensive to do that whole performance and be able to support that lifestyle. So a lot of them drop out. With that long apprenticeship period, they get jaded, they drop out. Tokyo, on the other hand, has more geisha than hangyoku. And part of the reason for that is that they start older. And since a lot of them actually have a full college education, including master's degrees, they're so old at that point, which is like my age. Not that old, but still old. Old for geisha standards. I'm not gonna tell you how old I am, but it's old. At least I feel old today. Hangyoku, though, don't exist as much because of the age difference. And because they're so much older, a lot of times they start them directly as a geisha rather than a hangyoku. They'd be too old to wear the childish outfit, so they just go on ahead and start them as a full geisha. In Tokyo, there's a lot more modern conveniences available to them. They're all allowed to have their cell phones. A lot of them have blogs. They're all on the computer all the time. There's a lot of web presence around them. They do a lot of advertising online. And they do a lot more, especially in Asakusa, they do a lot more public performances. On the other hand, Kyoto is still very much, well, not afraid, but just don't like technology. They want to keep the old ways. So a lot of times in most districts, Maiko can't have cell phones. They're only allowed to write letters, and they're not even allowed to call home on a regular phone. So they keep a lot of those technology innovations away from them. Once they become a full geisha, they can't really stop them from doing that because they're independent at that point. But modern technology is fairly well shunned for at least the apprenticeship period. Tokyo, again, has done some other progressive things. Like I said, this one woman who is now American, they're letting her into Shinagawa. So they're doing some things more modern. They've changed some of the things they do. Like I said, they changed the kimono a little bit as compared to Kyoto, because a long time ago they wore their kimono the same as Kyoto. But because of the changes in the city, they've changed the way they do it. It's a little less expensive for them. On the other hand, Kyoto does not want to change their traditional ways. They won't. And it's beautiful that they do that, but at the same time, there's the fear that they will eventually, have nobody else that wants to do this anymore because of how difficult it is, the way they do it. So it's interesting to see if they're going to be here, in the next 10 years or so. All right, before they tell me to get out of here, does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Does anyone want a piece of candy? You deserve a piece of candy, sir. You deserve a piece of candy, sir, because these guys have been filming and taking photographs the whole time. You deserve a piece of candy, sir, because you're filming. If anybody else wants some candy, we'll give it until it runs out. Get up here. If you've already gotten candy, wait, though. Like the people who haven't got it first. We'll give it until it runs out.
Little suikas.
They're little watermelons. It's precious. I bought these directly from Kyoto, so hey, get over here. It's fancy candy. We've got only a couple pieces left.
2 pieces left.
2 pieces. Oh no, we're out. I'm sorry. That's all we had. Some of you got more than one. Maybe you'll share. But thank you guys for coming. We'll go ahead and get out of here so the next panel can get on in. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. And I'm going to plug, I'm going to plug now. If you're interested in learning how to wear kimono, or actually specifically yukata, we're going to have a panel on Sunday. We already got it. We're done. Don't give me your sign. I'm done. Get out. No. We're not very couth. Hey, Dan. Yes, it is. Hi. I haven't seen you in forever. I need a hug. But anyway, you guys come to the Yukata panel on Sunday. It's at noon. Come to it. Thank you. Okay, we're done. Now I'm gonna give